All right, look, I'm going to tell you something about myself, okay? I'm telling everybody now. I am a grudge holder. I can hold a grudge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I can hold it like this, Erica.
Yeah.
But, I don't think that's really healthy for me.
Yeah.
And I think we might need to talk about forgiveness.
We do. Yeah. It's not good.
Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to It's a Mental Thing, the podcast that dives deep into the power of the mind and the heart of mental health. Whether you're navigating life's challenges, seeking balance, or simply curious about how to care for your mind, you're in the right place. Each week, we explore stories, strategies, and expert insights to help you build resilience, find clarity, and embrace a healthier you. So take a deep breath and let's journey together toward a brighter, more mindful tomorrow. Welcome to It's a Mental Thing, because your mental health matters.
All right. So I told you I can hold a grudge.
Yeah.
And it's getting better the older I'm getting of being able to let go, okay, whatever, move on. I don't have time for that to live rent free in my head.
Right.
I really don't.
No.
There's too much going on.
Yes.
I've got two little drama queens at home. There's too much,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are, there are small things that we can
Uh-huh.
hold on grudges to, but then there are very big things that happen in life, very damaging, traumatic things that we hold on to and we can't forgive. We can't forget. How do we forgive?
Right.
But forgiveness is a very healing thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
How do we even start that process?
It is a hard topic, especially in mental health. So there is so much psychology and science behind forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
What it means to that person, what happened, and how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so with mental health, forgiveness is about acceptance of what happened and possibly letting go of it altogether.
Okay.
Does that happen overnight? Sometimes. Sometimes someone in their heart can say, I forgive that person. In this situation, let's talk about a person who's hurt you or
Right.
a person who's hurt someone
Right.
in some sense. And those people can forgive and accept what has happened to them, and they can let go of it altogether. However, they may never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have always been taught, forgive and forget and move on. Forgive and forget.
Mm.
It isn't easy. So when it comes to mental health, and like you said, sometimes it's really hard and some people don't get there.
Right.
And we have to give them some kind of grace. And so we were talking a little bit off camera, Christianity. With forgiveness, we're taught to repent. We're taught to forgive. But when it comes to mental health and it comes to someone who's been severely hurt by someone mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, that forgiveness is very different.
Mm-hmm.
So in this session, I particularly want to separate a little bit of what forgiveness means
Okay.
in a religious standpoint
Mm-hmm.
versus what forgiveness means from a health and a physical health standpoint.
Okay.
And so I only say that because I know you and I are believers
Mhm.
and we have viewers that are believers, but there's a difference
Right.
in a certain situation. And that's what we're talking about today.
Well, and I also think too, a lot of times as a believer, you can think that if I choose to forgive, then everything goes back to the way it was
Right.
and it's normal. And that cannot happen sometimes,
Right,
right?
right.
Boundaries have to be in place. Things are different. Forgiveness can look different.
Yeah.
And so I definitely like looking at it from the perspective of mental health and how this is going to affect us.
Yeah.
So how does that affect us?
So, we've talked about how forgive and forget. We've also heard forgiveness sets us free.
Mhm.
And in a sense, even in mental health, it can. And just like, with the psychology and the science behind it, it helps you let go altogether
Mhm.
if you can get to that place. But it's tricky, but it's also easy to hold grudges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it can be tricky if you've got friends that have stuff going on and you don't want their stuff, but they've got stuff and you've got this grudge. Hey, guys, I'm ready to let it go.
Yeah.
There's a grudge there. But research actually shows that forgiveness can be incredibly beneficial in gaining a balanced view of that person
Mm-hmm.
and the thing, whatever it may be, that hurt you
Mm-hmm.
and their behavior. Okay. So
Yeah.
when we forgive, it's beneficial for us to understand that other person. So when we get to that place of forgiveness, we are now understanding that person, their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do anything to cause it. Their behavior and the hurt that they caused us.
Right.
Now, that's only when we get to that forgiveness part.
Because we're able to look at it from a different viewpoint.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
And
We're able to
makes
see it from
sense.
their eyes.
Yeah.
And again, the hurt is there. The grudge may still be there. However, when we are able to say, I forgive you, I'm still mad, I'm still sad, I'm still hurt, but I see the behavior and the hurt you caused me is you. It's not me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what forgiveness and mental health has to be. The acceptance of what happened
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to forgive and see their side, the person that hurt you, the thing that hurt you. That's what forgiveness is in mental health. And again, it's tricky because it takes time to get there. But it's almost okay to still have that grudge towards that person and that hurt. But that forgiveness allows you to see their behavior, their side of things. It's not an excuse, but you're able to see it from a
Right.
different lens.
And I think that's the hard part sometimes, especially like thinking of something like a mother whose child has been murdered, right?
Right.
And something that big and saying to forgive them,
Right.
right? And you're thinking, how?
Right.
How could they ever
Right.
do that, number one? And how could they ever forget? How could they ever move on?
Right.
It's very difficult to think about that, right? But I love how you're telling me here, it doesn't have to be, me as a mother excusing
Right.
what that person has done.
Mm-hmm.
It's freeing myself
Yes.
more than anything else.
Yeah. And so what it's allowing you to do is it's decreasing the anger that you're holding inside.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's trapped. That anger sometimes is trapped when you've got a mother whose child has passed away, when you've got a rape victim, when you've got, a person who's lost their job, they have no finances, they have nothing left. The LA fires right now, it's a
Right.
huge, huge thing right now that's going on in our world. They are probably feeling some of that sadness and that hurt. There's nobody, I don't know where that forgiveness might be in these LA fires that are going on, but there's something within them that they have anger trapped inside of them.
Right.
And when anyone who's been hurt or anyone who has a grudge or anyone who has been through something and you're able to get to that place of forgiveness, that anger that is entrapped inside of you is released. It may not be gone completely, but you're able to release what you're feeling a little bit if you're able to get to that forgiveness part of it. And-
Gosh, this is a lot to wrap your head around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because it's such a big thing and it's not talked about enough as far as like what forgiveness is,
Right.
in a sense of mental health and a
Right.
sense of hurt that you've physically, emotionally, sexually, mentally been through, because it's so different. It's so different to say, for me, hey, Lord, please, forgive me of my sins. I'm wrong. I'm a human being. Forgive me of that. And knowing the God we serve, if you're a believer, it says in the Bible, he's already forgiven us as far as the east is from the west.
Mhm.
However, if you've been physically hurt by another human being and that evil and that anger is inside of you, it's really hard to get to that type of forgiveness.
Right. Right. And because we're not Christ, right?
Right.
We are not to that level of perfection. And
Right.
so whereas, as a believer, that's where I'm relying on the
Right.
Lord to help me get there.
Yes.
But like you said, it is a process, and it's not something that is going to ever happen overnight, I would assume. But well, you said it can.
If someone, and again, it probably depends on what that patient or what that individual has been through. And maybe they're spiritual. Maybe
Yeah.
that is something that gives them hope. Maybe that is something that gives them that eagerness to, you know what, in order to free me of this anger, in order to free me of this bitterness that I have, I need to forgive them. And again, that forgiveness is accepting what they did. And this is helping you gain your emotional energy back from punishing them.
Yeah.
Because when you
Yeah.
punish them by hating them, by holding that grudge, by being mad, by being fearful, by being someone that just wants to just have the worst thing ever happen to them, that punishment that you have towards them isn't doing anything to that person. And that is the unfortunate thing, unless there's been like a legal issue, okay, and justice has been served and this person is serving their time where they need to be, maybe there's a sense of safety for that person then. However, when you have forgiveness, you no longer are punishing them, because the punishment you have towards them, that they're not affected by that.
Right.
You are you're almost punishing yourself to live in that grudge and to live in that anger and to live in that sadness and to live in that fear. But you cannot move on until you've decided to stop punishing them. And that's really hard in certain situations.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to, any kind of situation. As a mental health therapist, Nicole, I have heard stories of parental abuse. I have heard stories of sexual abuse. I have heard stories of rape. I have heard stories of childhood trauma, abuse in children. I have heard grief stories that I can sit in the chair in front of them and feel how sad that they're feeling. I can feel how angry that they are. I can feel that they may never forget what happened to them ever in their life, which is why they're in therapy.
Yeah.
Because they need that non-judgment, non-biased party, someone who is going to support them, someone who is going to listen to them, and someone is going to help them say, hey, if you're not ready to forgive, if you're not ready to forget yet, it's okay. But I am going to be the person who walks with you through it. I am going to be the person who says, hey, it's okay. If you're not ready yet, it's okay. But I'm also going to be the person to remind them to say, you punishing them by being angry, is that helping you? So that's the question I would want to ask them.
Yeah.
How is that benefiting you? And for some people, it's going to say, well, because I don't want them to have anything that they've ever got, anything that they've ever possibly could dream of, anything that they could ever get in their life. I don't want them to get it. So that anger for them in that moment helps them fill that void of what they're missing or what they've lost.
Right.
But until that person can release themselves from the pain and not forgetting of what happened, then they're going to kind of be in that stuck place of, do I forgive? Do I forget? Am I still angry? Am I still mad? Am I punishing myself for still being in this rut?
Right.
But what I can promise you is forgiveness is not weakness. And I do think some people might see that as weakness,
Yeah, I think so.
Years ago, I don't quote me on this, but years ago there was a shooting in a church, where a guy walked in during a Sunday night service or a Bible study, and he shot fire and injured and killed some people for no reason. And I remember feeling, how do you go to a safe place and feel safe and feel like you're protected, but you have this one person who is unwell, unhealthy, not an excuse, but has a firearm and hurts innocent people. And then I remember that pastor of that church got up publicly and said, I forgive you, to that person. And that person, in that moment, he didn't have the right to say anything, but you could see in his face, like, what? You know, because we are all human beings. We do have a soul. We do have things in our life that some people who are mentally ill, that they need help with. Again, it is not an excuse.
Right.
It is not something to forgive them for, to say, hey, sorry they hurt you, but they're mentally ill. It's more of a understanding. Like we said earlier, when you get to that place of forgiveness in mental health, what you're doing is you are accepting what happened, and you're getting to a place of letting it go by understanding them and seeing them for what they did and who they are,
Right.
and not how you're feeling.
I think that is the key, and that's what has stuck out the most to me
Yeah.
in talking through this. Is it's not letting them get away with anything. It's not letting them off the hook.
No.
It's freeing yourself, and it's an understanding from a
Right.
different viewpoint.
And just remembering too, forgiveness isn't weak. You're not weak to forgive. You are at a place of saying, I forgive because I want to be free. I forgive because I want to heal.
Yeah.
Not I forgive because I want you, the person who hurt me, to be okay. But I'm forgiving because I'm ready to heal.
And that's what we're working towards here in all these podcasts and all of
Yeah.
our therapy sessions and your therapy sessions. We want you to heal yourself, and that's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Be sure to follow our podcast on your favorite platform or find us on YouTube. Just a quick note. If you're facing a mental health challenge, we encourage you to seek help from a licensed therapist like Erica or a healthcare provider. Remember, your well-being is personal, and only a professional can provide guidance tailored to your unique needs.